There's someone in your life you thought you knew, not just knew, trusted. The kind of person you had real conversations with. The kind who seemed to have a spine, who stood for something when it wasn't easy. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you filed them under solid, under safe. But something changed, and you felt it before you could explain it. And this is where it gets interesting. Think about the last time you were in a room with this person and someone more powerful walked in. Someone with more status, more authority, more social weight. Watch what happened to them. Their posture shifted, their language changed. The opinion they held 5 minutes ago quietly disappeared. Not dramatically, not loudly, it just evaporated. And suddenly they were nodding, agreeing, laughing at things they would have criticized in private. You noticed it, but you told yourself you were being too sensitive. Then it happened again. They took a stance, a strong one, about something they claimed to believe in. You heard them say it. You were there. But the moment the tide shifted, the moment a different group became more powerful, more popular, more dangerous to disagree with, they switched. Not gradually, not after reflection, almost overnight. And now they talk like they were always on that side, like the previous version of them never existed, like you never witnessed it. And you're left standing there, asking yourself the question that's been eating at you. Was any of it real? But here's what most people don't realize. That question, was any of it real, is exactly the right question. Because the answer is uncomfortable. Parts of it were real. They weren't performing the whole time. They genuinely connected with you. They genuinely believed some of what they said. But there was always something running underneath it, something quieter, more primal, that you couldn't see. And now, it's running the show. Watch what happens to their relationships when this pattern takes over. The people who stay loyal to them start to feel uneasy, without knowing why. Conversations start to feel slightly off, like there's a version of this person being curated for the room. Friends begin to sense they're only getting access to whatever version of this person feels safest to show right now. And the deeper you look, the more you realize this person doesn't have a consistent self that shows up everywhere. They have a rotating self, one that calibrates constantly to whoever holds the most power in the room. Their confidence isn't internal. It's borrowed from whoever they're standing next to. Their values aren't anchored. They're adaptive. And here's what that does to you, the person watching it. It makes you question your own perception. You start wondering if you imagined the betrayal, if you're being unfair, if maybe they did grow, maybe they did change, maybe you're the one being rigid. That self-doubt? That's not an accident. That's part of the pattern. This is the part nobody talks about. Psychology calls this moral camouflage. It's not a character flaw in the traditional sense. It's a survival strategy. One that was likely developed early in an environment where having the wrong opinion, the wrong loyalty, the wrong allegiance had real consequences. For some people, reading the room wasn't a social skill, it was a necessity. Agreeing with whoever held power kept them safe. Disagreeing had a cost. Emotional, sometimes physical. So the nervous system learned to scan, adapt, and mirror. Not consciously, automatically. The brain doesn't distinguish between a dangerous childhood environment and a social situation at work. It just knows. Align with power. Stay safe. Resist power. Get hurt. So they learn to wear their values loosely, to hold opinions like accessories, put on for certain rooms, taken off for others. This is not weakness, this was once survival. But when it follows someone into adulthood, into friendships, into relationships, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a pattern that slowly destroys trust. Not loudly, quietly, one small shift at a time. And this is where it gets personal. Because if you're watching this, there's a good chance you've been on the receiving end of this. You've trusted someone whose loyalty was conditional in ways you didn't know to look for. You've shared something real with someone who used it differently, depending on who was in the room. And the hardest part isn't the betrayal itself. The hardest part is what it did to your ability to trust your own perception. You started wondering if you were too sensitive, too intense, too loyal, in a world that doesn't work that way anymore. You started wondering if you were the problem for expecting consistency. You weren't the problem. You just didn't have a name for what you were watching. You were watching someone's nervous system do what it was trained to do, locate power and move toward it. And because they were warm with you in private, because the connection felt real, you assumed that warmth was unconditional. It wasn't, and that's not your failure of judgment. That's just information you didn't have yet. Here's the unsaid truth. People who practice moral camouflage are not evil. They are not calculating villains. Most of them don't even know they do it. But knowing that doesn't mean you have to keep giving them access to the parts of you that require loyalty to hold safely. Some people are good for certain rooms, good for certain seasons, but they are not built to be your anchor because they don't have one themselves. Real loyalty doesn't negotiate with the room. Real loyalty doesn't need safety before it shows up. Real loyalty looks the same, whether power is watching or not. You didn't imagine the betrayal. You didn't overreact. You just finally stopped, mistaking someone's survival instinct for devotion. And that's not a loss. That's clarity. Follow to unravel more of what's been hidden from you.